Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to take a few minutes right now today to talk about Keimani Latigue. If you have not already heard her story, it is horrific. Keimani lived in Toledo, Ohio. She was only 13 years old. On March the 18th, last week, she went missing. Her body was discovered this past Monday in a burnt abandoned home on the second floor. When her body was discovered in the home, she was nude and her hands were missing. So they had been cut off, and her throat had almost been cut off. Who did this to Keimani? Well, her father. The day after her body was discovered, he was in a shootout in Columbus, Ohio with the police. So this is how he was captured. So he has been captured. He is in the hospital, but he is in stable condition. And he now faces charges for Keimani's death. So this is crazy, guys. This story, there's this young girl not having the support that she needs in her home is just ridiculous. This is just happening too much. Too much. I'm not for sure how often her father was in her life, but it doesn't matter. The things that he did to her was horrific. I don't even know how he got it in his head that it was okay to do these to anyone, especially your daughter. So let's take a look at all that's going or has been surrounding Keimani's story. And before I start this video, if you have not already done so, please go ahead and like this video, share it so we can get the word out there. We can get the awareness of Keimani's story. And if you are not already done so, also please go ahead and subscribe.
Around her. Can you expand on that? Is there family members that weren't allowed around her?
Keimani she was phenomenal. Keimani was a helper. She loved older music. She loved playing video games. She played basketball for Spring Elementary. She was highly intelligent. She loved the friends and family that she was allowed to be around. She was phenomenal. Like I said, she was like no other kid her age.
This case is one of the most horrific cases I ever heard. This is a 14-year-old that was murdered, raped, had her hands cut off, and her throat almost cut off.
I just wish that when I was down here last, that I had just taken her to Indianapolis with me, so this would never happen. A lot of things, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but at the end of the day, I just really wish that whatever happened and whoever did this, y'all didn't have to do that to her.
One of our SWAT teams was working a dangerous individual who was wanted for a serious crime.
This is an absolute animal that came into our town. Our SWAT are the best of the best. We just sent a message. You murder somebody, do not come to this town.
It's just devastating that that me and my family have to go through this.
We are tracking new developments in a disturbing story. A 13-year-old girl reportedly killed by her father. Her body left inside an abandoned home in East Toledo.
Along with Kaylee Marentet, I am Jeff Smith. It is a situation that continues to evolve. Toledo police issuing an alert that Keimani Latigue was missing 1 week ago. 6 days later, TPD finds her body, and now new information on how Keimani died and where the man who police say killed her is right now.
Here's what we've learned in the last few hours. Police say a SWAT team found Keimani's dad, Darnell Jones, in Columbus. There was reportedly an altercation and officers shot Jones. Officials say they recovered a gun and Jones is expected to survive.
Lucas County Coroner's Office also releasing Keimani's cause of death. An autopsy showed that she died from multiple wounds to the neck, and the coroner ruled her death a homicide.
Late this afternoon, Keimani's grandmother spoke exclusively with WTOL 11. We have that full interview in just a moment.
Here's how the story has unfolded over the last week. Toledo police posted the alert that Keimani was missing on Tuesday, March 18th. It was just after 4 p.m. She was last seen reported at her grandmother's home on Elm Street. That's in North Toledo. The next day, WTOL 11 spoke with the teen's grandmother, Dorothy Latigue. She's also Keimani's legal guardian. She said she came home from work Tuesday morning, found Keimani was missing. She called her school before making a report to Toledo police.
By Friday, family, friends, and even strangers came out to North Toledo to search for Keimani. Her mother, Tiara Caston, was there from Cleveland. Keimani's dad, Darnell Jones, would be charged with abduction on Sunday, March 23rd. Court documents showed he was the last person with her before she went missing.
And then on Monday, March 24th, police found a body inside a home on Miami Street in East Toledo. The Lucas County Coroner's Office would later identify the remains as those of the 13-year-old Keimani Latigue. Her time of death posted at 12:19 p.m.
We have team coverage tracking all of the angles and developments in this investigation, from an exclusive interview with Keimani's grandmother to her school, her life, and her death.
Plus, Andre Norrell spoke with members of Toledo City Council about what they plan to do next. And Steve Iwanek is with family and community members gathered to make sure Keimani's memory lives on.
We start first with the new information out of Columbus. Police there say officers from a SWAT team shot Keimani's dad, Darnell Jones, just before noon.
A spokesperson for the Columbus Police Department did not identify Jones initially, but has since named him as the suspect that officers encountered Tuesday morning.
One of our SWAT teams was working a dangerous individual who was wanted for a serious crime. And SWAT was given information that this gentleman was in this particular area. When SWAT arrived, they did make contact with the suspect in question that they were looking for, confirming the identity of, in fact, that suspect being the person that they were watching. At some point during the interaction with SWAT officers, I can confirm that an officer did discharge their firearm, striking the suspect. The suspect was transported to a local hospital. That suspect is currently in stable condition. Thankfully, no officers were injured. No one in the public was injured, but it's important to know, obviously, given this is an unusual area where we do not see a lot of crime, we just want to reassure the public that this is a safe, contained situation and there's no longer a threat to the public.
Were any guns recovered off of the suspect?
I can confirm that there was a firearm recovered from the scene that obviously was not the police firearm. So like I said, it's still early. We're working through that, but I can confirm we did recover a firearm.
Do we know what the suspect was doing in this area?
We don't know that, and that is one of the things that investigators are actively trying to determine right now, because we don't believe there's any reason for him to be in this specific area in terms of knowing someone or trying to engage in any additional criminal activity.
Was the suspect pulled over in a car? We saw a car that was being looked at. Yep. Was he in a home? Where was he?
There was a vehicle involved, and this interaction, I can say, happened outside. Beyond that, we can't get into the specifics just yet until we continue the investigation.
So you're saying he's unstable, so you believe these are not life-threatening injuries?
Correct. We do believe that he will survive his injury.
While the spokesperson for Columbus Police didn't release much information, the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 9, did. He detailed some of the disturbing details in this case and outlined his understanding of why officers were searching for Jones in the first place.
I received a call we never want to get. One of our officers was involved in a police-involved shooting. Immediately went to scene to speak to our officer, one of our SWAT officers, a dedicated officer, highly trained, as you know, our Special Operations Bureau, longtime member. He's okay. Thank God he's okay. When I heard about this case, this was an individual wanted for homicide out of Toledo. I called my union counterpart in Toledo. I said, hey, good news, we have your guy. Your guy committed a murder, chose to fled to our town. I'll tell you right now, the wrong town to come to if you murder somebody. Our SWAT team will go out looking for you. This case is one of the most horrific cases I ever heard. This is a 14-year-old that was murdered, raped, had her hands cut off, and her throat almost cut off. This is an absolute animal that came into our town. I understand some of your editors won't let you print the word animal or view the word animal. If people are more offended to how I'm describing him, how he treated that girl, that's on them, not on me. Again, I'm glad our officers are okay. Our SWAT are the best of the best. We just sent a message. You murder somebody, do not come to this town.
Do you know anything about what led up to the shooting?
I know they were looking for him. I worked the street yesterday, and there was a bolo put out yesterday about this, so it was on everybody's mind. The officers are circulating area, patrol detectives, they're looking for this individual. This is what SWAT does. SWAT goes out there. Some of them have uniforms, some are in plain clothes, in plain cars. And it's my understanding that they had a location on this suspect vehicle, and they did what they do. They circulated the area, they saturated the area of the short north, and one of the SWAT officers did find them. There was a confrontation. The individual had a gun. You pull a gun on his officers. We've said many times, this is the outcome you could expect. The officers shot him. It's my understanding he is in a local hospital right now.
Did he fire back?
I do not know if he fired back. I just know a gun was recovered from the scene.
Brian, can you talk about, you mentioned how obviously how dangerous this suspect was, how relieved you are that none of your officers or any of the nearby neighbors
100%.
were injured given what it could have been?
It's my understanding this individual might have been walking around the short north area all night. You got to, not just a murderer, a violent murderer, a sadistic murderer in our neighborhoods is appalling. Again, thankful for the men and women of the Division of Police, our members, for going out there every day, finding these individuals and removing them from our street. I'm so glad nobody else was hurt.
Hours after police found Keimani's body in that abandoned East Toledo home, videos posted to social media Monday appeared to show officers taking her grandmother, Dorothy Latigue, away in handcuffs. Police have since said that she was not arrested, and Dorothy talked exclusively with WTOL 11 Silver Barker about Keimani and what she says really happened between her and TPD.
My first question for you, yesterday, lots of things was going on. We want to know specifically at your home, there was a lot of speculation online that you were being arrested, but when we checked with police, that was not the case. So can you further clarify on exactly what did happen yesterday at your home?
Well, I was called and told that there was a mob of people in front of my house. They were angry. It was more or less the people that were here earlier waiting to see if it was Keimani that was in the home. And basically some people from the neighborhood had contacted me and said that there was a mob in front of my house and they were talking about what they were going to do to me once I came home. So the police, the detective said that she would have a unit come out and help me get my things and more or less escort me off the property. I asked to be handcuffed just so they can get the away from my property.
Are you scared?
So no, I was never arrested. I was taken downtown, but I was never arrested.
Are you scared for your safety right now?
I am.
What are some of the things that you've been hearing and receiving from people?
They said they was going to blow up my house. They said they was going to do harm to me. It's just been a barrage of different things that they've been stating.
And now yesterday, or let's backtrack first for a little bit. So you are the guardian of Keimani, or you were the guardian of Keimani, correct?
I am the legal guardian of Keimani.
Okay. So in terms of taking care of her, when was Keimani placed under your care?
A year ago.
So you take care of
She's been in my home for the past 5.5 years, but I just obtained legal custody of her a year ago.
Were you and Keimani close?
We were.
What were some of the things, trying to think of her and paint a memory of her in a good light, right now with everything that's going on, what was Keimani like? Tell me a little bit about how Keimani was in the time that you've got to her.
Keimani was phenomenal. Keimani was a helper. Like she was older than what she appeared to be. Like, how they say somebody has an old soul? She was that. She loved older music. She loved playing video games. She loved the friends and family that she was allowed to be around. She played basketball for Spring Elementary. She was highly intelligent. So I'd like to clear up the mental issue. statements. No, she was not mentally ill in any way. We had her, assessed, and they didn't feel as if anything was wrong with her mentally. So that was not a issue. But back to Keimani, she would, like, say, for instance, someone would come over and they had children. They didn't have to worry about their kids because Keimani immediately embraced them and would play with them, kid stuff. She was phenomenal. Like I said, she was like no other kid her age.
What school did Keimani go to?
She went to Spring Elementary.
And we were told that at that time she was doing good in school as well too, correct?
She was. She had brought her grade point average up from a 3.4 to a 3.9. And actually they were going to have an award ceremony for the basketball players today at 5:30. But when I divulged to them that she had passed, they've rescheduled it. She was going to receive her trophy for being, on the team and stuff.
And she has a birthday that's coming up.
Her birthday is Friday.
And she would have been turning 14.
She would have been 14.
Did you have any plans for her for her birthday?
We were going to have her a large birthday party because it would have been her first birthday where, once again, all of my children were together and could participate in the party. Her mom was supposed to come and everything. So I asked her early on, what type of party do you want? She said she wanted a basketball themed party. So that's what I bought. Things that revolved around her playing basketball. I'm still receiving stuff in the mail for that.
So there's been some confusion now in terms of when it comes to family, who's her biological father, who is her biological mother, and then also was she in the foster care system? Can you clear up a little bit of all of that? When Keimani was placed in your care, when is the LCCS, who exactly did she come from, and how did she
came from her other legal guardian. I choose not to state her name, but she came from her other legal guardian because the other legal guardian and I were best friends. The other legal guardian is my daughter, Keimani's mom, godmother. And we had already discussed early on, because she's been with this person since she was 9 months old. My daughter has never really had custody of Keimani. So she's been with this person since she was 9 months old until, like I said, maybe 5.5 years ago. Now, off and on, this person, we would interact and, do different things with her, for her, or I would contact her and tell her, well, I need this, or Keimani would like that. And she would come by and oblige, and we would commence. It's just too much.
Earlier you mentioned, when you were talking about what Keimani was like, you had mentioned that when family members did come over, who were allowed around her. Can you expand on that? Is there family members that weren't allowed around her?
No, it's just not very many that came around. And those that did, she acted, as far as I'm concerned, she acted accordingly. She embraced all children, bad or good. Okay, next question.
So now we do know that Darnell, people are looking for Darnell Jones right now. The police are looking for Darnell Jones, and there's an arrest warrant out for him. Do you have any idea of his whereabouts?
Oh, well, to my knowledge, he was just arrested in Columbus. He just recently had a shootout with the police in Columbus. They're saying that he confessed to her murder, and no, I take that back. They're saying that he confessed to her rape and slitting her throat.
How does it feel to learn that?
I can't even say.
As the police report mentions, Keimani was last seen with Darnell, you know, do you have any regrets of letting Keimani go with, as you're her guardian, do you have any regrets of letting Keimani go with Darnell?
I do. Only because, like I said, I feel deceived. I feel like this was pre-planned. I feel like you meant to do this. I feel like you was grooming her.
When you say grooming her, is there things that you saw before this leading up?
No, I never saw anything out the ordinary. But when molesters decide to choose prey, they groom you first. So they give you gifts. They try and make you comfortable with them. They try and say little things to you that you and they can keep secret. And then eventually they pounce. And that's how I feel that oh God, how all of this is played out, I feel that's what happened. She was a virgin. She didn't like boys.
There's also comments, and we're just trying to address those and get those addressed. But there's comments online and speculation again that, you know, Keimani, her home situation, she was abused. What do you have to say to that?
Okay, abuse in whose eyes? Because she was not abused. Yes, she was chastised whenever she was wrong or did things wrong. Other than that, she was not abused. She was not just whooped for no reason or just because I felt like it. I've went through this twice because the school system had contacted CSB on her behalf when she went to Bennett Academy. And they came in, they did a case study and closed it. They've stated there's a way to chastise children without physically harming them. And you need to whoop them on their behind, nowhere else. So, okay, with that in mind, I knew that. So she didn't have like bruises all over.
How long ago was that when they came into your home?
I would say the latest, it was approximately 7 months ago.
And so you say the latest. So was it a few times that they came into your
It
home?
was twice total.
So twice total that they came into your home. Okay. And it was all for like you mentioned, what you just said. Earlier,
Yes.
explaining.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of, you know, this whole situation, so you were not arrested, correct? And that's
Correct.
what, you know, a lot of people seem to think as they saw you going out in customs. That's what you asked for, correct?
Yes.
That was our Silver Barker there. Keimani's family came out of town to search for her. Now they say they're planning a funeral instead. Silver Barker spoke with Keimani's aunt about the relationship and the things she says she regrets.
I'm Dorothy's second oldest daughter. I'm Keimani's aunt. My name is Sanika. I live in Indianapolis. All this that is going on is devastating. You wouldn't think that, you know, you see it happen around the world, but when it hits close to your heart, you really just be thinking like, did I do something wrong? Did I fail her? She didn't have the life to live that we have got to grow and live. She was only 13. So to know that somebody that I trusted, which was her father, to come through and deceive us just to get to Keimani in some sexual way or a harmful way, that hurts me to the fullest. And the point I feel like I failed her. Me as being her aunt, a person that she could run to and tell anything and everything to. That was my girl. That was my baby. And to hear all of this, to know all of this, and to be going through all this and hearing it for as long as that it went on, it's very devastating. I see so many people that are supposed to be my family that's going against my mom and me for that instance, and saying like, oh, you know, she failed her, she had something to do with it, she had this and that. It doesn't matter at this point. For right now, and until we get justice for Keimani, it's all about Keimani. What I would like to say is there's a lot of people on the internet starting GoFundMe's, and that's not what we need right now, because it's not what Keimani needs. The funeral home has objected to say that they're going to come and pay for everything. So there's no need for any GoFundMe pages, any of that. Everything is being taken care of that needs to be taken care of by her family, her immediate family.
Does it upset you that there are GoFundMes? Some of them, I think, in cases might be scams too, as well. That are
what upsets me is that people are starting these GoFundMe pages and putting Keimani name underneath it, and they know that it's going to get viewed, and people have sympathy and feel some type of way about that. And some of them can be scams, but I know some of them have come from family members. When just let the immediate family handle that. Like, what y'all gonna do with the money if y'all not turning it into the funeral home? There's no need. Let us handle it. Y'all just sit back and give us the emotional support that we need. That's what we need right now. As a family, as a community, we should all come together and just give each other the emotional support that we honestly need. And that's just what I asked for everybody to, calm down, breathe. I know this is a hard time, because it's not just a hard time for y'all. This is a rough time for me. I just need y'all to come together and understand that we need each other as a community, as a family, and emotional support is what we need the most in this situation.
Yesterday the crowd was, if you were here, I'm assuming, the crowd was very upset, lots of emotions going through too, especially at this time with such a sensitive situation. We've heard multiple comments out in the crowd, attacking or pointing fingers at your mom. So, what has it been like finding her support system and helping her out?
In a way, you have to be mature enough to decide, am I going to follow along with the crowd, or am I going to, stick around with the loner? I'm to the point where I'm not following nobody. I'm going with what's right. If it was your mother, if it was your niece, would you console your mother? Would you console the person that was closest to her, who lived with her? I'm not out to have a torch in the pitchforks and all out to go against anybody except the person who did this, which I believe was her father, Darnell. I don't have any other anger pushed towards anybody else. I'm angry that this happened, but I'm angry at the person who did this.
Do you know if have you been in contact with Tiara, the mother?
Yeah, I've been in contact with my sister. It's been briefly. It's been over through text. Like I said, I live in Indianapolis. I seen her yesterday, but that was very brief. It wasn't even more than 5 minutes. It was more or less that she wanted to show me my other niece, Kazaria, which is Keimani's youngest sister. But it wasn't like it was oh, sis, what are we gonna do? Any of that. And I don't wish this on nobody. I really don't. I could, your mind go different places when it's a baby. That was a baby. Like I said, I have a very close relationship with Keimani. She was a tomboy. She wasn't out looking for, trying to be fast or, mischievous or any of that. So for her mother to come down and have all this to say and all that, Tiara, where was you for the past 4 years? We haven't seen you since Keimani TikTok party. You haven't called her. You haven't sent her anything. You haven't said, oh, baby, I'm going to come get you for a weekend. We haven't seen you until this happened. Why we got to see you when it's a tragic moment? So, Tiara, where do you stand?
And Tiara lives in Cleveland, correct?
Yes.
And so the past 4 years, you're saying there's very little communication.
Very, very minimum. It wasn't even, she'll call my mom. She'll go through me and say, have you talked to mommy? And I'm like, no, about what? And she'll say, oh, well, she got custody of Keimani and she trying to get child support from me. So it wasn't that Tiara was concerned about Keimani. It was more of why she wanted child support from me.
What is the relationship between your mother and your sister, Tiara?
It's very distant. They had their words. They fought. Keimani mother has a godmother that Keimani was with before my mom got her. And there was no communication then from Tiara. I feel like Tiara just let her go. Because any mother would be on her toes to get her children back. That wasn't the case here. It just wasn't.
When was Keimani taken away from Tiara?
I'll say about 7-8 months, and then Tierra godmother stepped in and got custody of Keimani, which would have been around 9 months. Yeah, and Keimani had been with that lady from 9 months all the way up until about, I say, 5.5 years ago. So it wasn't like Tierra was actually in the picture, saying, hey, maybe I can start getting myself together to get my child back so nobody else can get her.
You ever worried for Keimani's safety with any of the family members or anyone?
I wouldn't say I was worried because I was here. I was here every winter break, spring break, holidays, birthdays. I was here for Keimani. Yes, you come and you enjoy time with your family, but I was here for my niece. I also brought my youngest sister and her 2 kids from Indianapolis to be here for Keimani because we've been in the system before. So I know how it feels to feel like, dang, I'm at somebody's house or not feeling not wanted. I know those feelings. So I tried to give Keimani that at all times because she wanted and loved by her aunts. And this is just devastating that I have to go through this for the rest of my life and knowing I'll never have the embrace of my niece, the hey TT, what you doing? When you coming down here, I'll never get to hear that from my baby again. And that's what kills me the most. I just wish that when I was down here last that I had just taken her to Indianapolis with me. So this would have never happened. A lot of things, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but at the end of the day, I just really wish that whatever happened and whoever did this, y'all didn't have to do that to her. There's plenty of people out here with, grown people that put themselves out there to be, the sex workers or whatever it may be. You didn't have to do this to a child. There was nothing that Keimani would have done to make you hurt her. So she was a very timid kid, tomboyish, reserved. She wasn't, loud and out there. So it's just devastating that me and my family have to go through this.
Is there anything else that you would like to add at this time in the interview? Anything else that I didn't ask, maybe?
I just want people to understand that family is family. And at the end of the day, don't be so eager to go against your family. Talk to your family and talk to the children. These children may be scared to talk to the parents about things that's going on or what may be going on because they feel like they may get in trouble. But make it known that to your kids that you can talk to me. Make it very open. You can talk to me about any and everything. Because that's what these kids need to hear nowadays. Instead of going on social media and talking to somebody over social media about it, like he did this or she may done that. Talk to your family because they can handle. They're the adults that's supposed to handle it.
Our community is grieving alongside Keimani's family right now. Many at a vigil at the home where Keimani was found Monday. Steve Iwanek shares their story.
Talk to me about why this has created such a passion within you and what you want to see happen in the future for people who may be going through a situation that Keimani may or may not have been going through in her own life.
The reason why I have so much passion for this, I guess it was my upbringing. It started with my grandmother. She was always telling us, if you do the right things, then you don't have to worry about anything. If you walk right, then you don't have to worry about anything. And having that upbringing, I was brought up in church. You know what I'm saying? I was not the kid that was not spared the rod. I was given the rod, okay? So I understand what discipline was all about. And I think for me is to show the love, give back to my community in a time like this, because you don't want to see it happen to another child.
This 13-year-old girl now, some people say she has found peace. I can't say that on behalf of her family. I'm just what I've read online. What do you say to Keimani right now as she's, I'll take it through my perspective of faith, she's looking down now. What do you think she is saying to her community and her family?
Keimani was never ours. She was just loaned to us. She was a vessel in a shell. She's at peace. No more hurt, no more pain, no more going through nothing. She know her Father, heavenly above, has her.
Keimani was a 7th grader at Spring Elementary. Now her school is in mourning.
Yeah, Michael Sandlin went to TPS to find out how the district is helping students there process her death.
Jeff, today counselors and therapy dogs were brought in to help the students and teachers deal with grief. But one student tells me that didn't stop the tears from flowing. I met 7th grader Keimani Fisher outside of her school holding up a sign paying tribute to her fallen classmate. With permission from her mother, Keimani told me about how sweet of a girl Keimani was. Well, Keimani came from a troubled background, in and out of 5 schools before coming to Spring. Both school leaders and Keimani tell me she really flourished at Spring. She developed a reputation for being smart and kind and would help Keimani with her schoolwork when she didn't understand it. She also loved basketball and played with the other kids whenever she could. Now, with the news of her passing spread across the school, Keimani and her younger brother Keegan tell me the energy in the classroom was very different this morning.
I've seen some people crying and stuff, a lot of people crying. Sad and very quiet.
I noticed that you made the sign. Why did you decide to make the sign for her?
So everyone can remember of her.
How do you hope people remember her by?
About how kind she was.
Keimani was set to get a kindness award from the school later this week. Her birthday was also this week. She would have been 14 years old. In studio, I'm Michael Sandlin, WTOL 11.
We talked previously with Toledo Mayor Wade Capsicavage. He says that he wants to see the legal process play out, though he wants to see the book thrown at whoever is responsible. Andre Norrells asked Toledo City Council what needs to happen next.
Several council members took the time to talk about Keimani's death. Many of them called it tragic. One of those was Council President Carrie Hartman. First, tell me, what was your reaction when you first heard about this?
I mean, I heard about it last week. When she first went missing, it wasn't far from where I live. And so I know there's been a lot of commentary online, on social media, as the news was breaking. And as the news keeps rolling in, it keeps getting more shocking.
I know it's early on, the investigation is still underway, but has there been conversations on what council can maybe do, any looking at what can be introduced to try to help this?
Yeah, I mean, the news, it's all happening so fast. I think it's going to take us a little bit of time if we're going to do anything legislation wise. But I know that we've already been talking about how do we get some of these blighted buildings boarded up so that there isn't any crime or mischief going on in these blighted houses. But as one council member said, it wasn't the house that killed this poor girl. So I think it is more about the community and whether or not our community is going to tolerate violence like this.
It can be challenging for parents to talk to their kids about situations like Keimani's murder. Megan Hartnett went to an expert to find out how parents can start this conversation.
Kaylee, it's important to make sure kids have a safe space to ask questions or voice any concerns they may have. Representatives from parents of murdered children say parents should monitor how much information kids are taking from social media and news sources. We are still learning more details about what happened to Keimani, and there are a lot of rumors online. Conversation should be geared to whatever level a child can handle maturity-wise. I was told parents should reassure their kids that this is not a normal situation. Kids should not be forced to talk about a situation like this if they don't want to. But parents should make sure kids have an opportunity to talk about what happened, especially if they knew Keimani.
Making sure that the kids know that they can speak about her, the friends, that they can say her name and they can speak about her and speak up about memories, share memories that they have of this little girl and keep positive memories for them. So they're not focusing on her death, but focusing on the life she lived and the life that was taken from her.
As we continue to learn more details about what happened to Keimani, I was told it's important for parents to keep checking in with kids and answer any questions they may come up with. Reporting in the newsroom, Megan Hartnett, WTOL 11.
For the past several years, our 11 Investigates team has reported on blighted homes in the city of Toledo.
The East Toledo structure where Keimani Latigue was found happened to be one of them. Lead investigator Brian Duggar found out there's a plan to tear it down.
Yeah, city crews were at 1101 Miami Street this morning, boarding up windows and picking up trash, but the house won't be standing for long. We can now confirm the house is set to be demolished within the next 3 months. Now, according to the city, that demolition has been expedited because of Keimani's murder. We have also learned several other things about the property, which was damaged by 2 separate fires in 2022. It was purchased last year, sight unseen, for $4,000 by a real estate developer who planned on tearing it down and turning it into a parking lot. It has been vacant since those fires and has not been repaired. Now, despite that, the value of the property actually climbed $5,000 to $37,800 during the county's recent valuation process. And like many of the city's blighted properties, there is a significant bill attached to the property, nearly $4,000 in back taxes. Now, we talked to the developer this morning. He lives in New Jersey and has never even seen the property in person. He was not even aware that Keimani's body was found in the house, and he actually became pretty emotional when we told him that information. Now, we learned late this afternoon that he is now actually in talks to sell that property. So, of course, we'll continue to follow this angle of the story. But for now, reporting in studio, this is Brian Duggar for 11 Investigates.
It's also important to note we talked with Keimani's family. They say funeral expenses are covered.
Yeah, that means that they say they do not have any legitimate GoFundMe accounts, but Brown Legacy Memorial Funeral Home is covering the funeral and accepting donations. You can find details on how to donate right now on WTOL.com or our social media channels. Thanks for joining us here on WTOL 11 Plus. For Kaylee, Mary, and Ted, and the entire WTOL 11 team, I'm Jeff Smith. In her short 13 years, Keimani was enrolled in 6 different schools. And tonight, we're hearing from some of the people from those schools who say she came to school with potential signs of abuse.
Michael Sandlin joins us. Michael, what did they have to say to you?
Well, Kaylee, Jeff, they say they tried to sound the alarm and it fell on deaf ears. I spoke to a classmate of Keimani's who says she tried to tell a teacher, and I spoke to a teacher who says she tried to tell CSB. In both instances, the person they tried to help is now gone.
She came to school with bruises on her arms.
That's 7th grader Imani Fisher, a classmate of Keimani's from her most recent school, Spring Elementary. Fisher says she would often see Keimani come into class with visible markings, so she and other students decided to say something to a teacher.
And she said she would deal with it, but I don't think nothing happened.
TPS representatives say they have no records of abuse against Keimani to either CSB or TPD. But it's also not the first time someone has raised concerns about what was going on inside Latigue's home. Kayleen Harabedian was her 6th grade English teacher at Bennett Venture Academy, the last school she attended before spring. Harabedian says she also spotted visible markings and bruises on Keimani.
It's hard because especially in a role like education, your day doesn't end at 3:30. You take these things home with you. They weigh on you. I'm a parent myself, and I tried my best to make sure that she was removed from that environment.
Harabedian claims she put in multiple calls to CSB. Keimani's grandmother and legal guardian Dorothy Latigue says they did come knocking on her door, but she denies there was any abuse in the home.
I've went through this twice because the school system had contacted CSB on her behalf when she went to Bennett Academy. And they came in, they did a case study and closed it. They've stated there's a way to chastise children without physically harming them. You need to whoop them on their behind, nowhere else. So, okay, with that in mind, I knew that.
It's important to note Dorothy Latigue is currently not charged with any crime, and Keimani was allowed to continue living with her following the alleged CSB check-in.
It just fell on deaf ears, and I think that had she been investigated more, this was looked more into, she would 100% be alive today.
Wednesday morning, a new piece of graffiti has been sprayed on the burned-down home where Keimani's body was found. CSB, where's your accountability? A question city council members like Susanna McPherson are asking now as well.
I want to hear from CSB. We all do. What happened? What was the missing link? Where was the disconnect?
We reached out to Lucas County Children's Services to see if they had any reports of abuse against Keimani. They tell us that any reports they might have would be protected by Ohio privacy laws and would not be fit for public reporting. However, they tell us they're planning on holding a press conference Friday morning so they can clear the air. Reporting in East Toledo, I'm Michael Sandlin for WTOL 11.
There is still shock and sadness tonight following the murder of 13-year-old Keimani Latigue.
In her 13 years, Keimani moved through 6 different schools, and tonight we're hearing from people who say they saw signs of abuse.
At Keimani's last school, Bennett Venture Academy, her English teacher says she noticed bruises. She said she reached out to child services, but nothing changed.
It's hard because especially in a role like education, your day doesn't end at 3:30. You take these things home with you. They weigh on you. I'm a parent myself, and I tried my best to make sure that she was removed from that environment to make her have a safe place. And it just fell on deaf ears. And I think that had she been investigated more, this was looked more into, she would 100% be alive today.
Keimani moved to Spring Elementary School this year. It's a Toledo public school. We talked with a classmate there with their parents' permission. They echoed the stories of bruises her former teacher shared.
She came to school with bruises on her arms, and then they asked her, and she said that she was her grandma was being on fighting her and stuff, and she was fighting with her grandma.
Now, it is important to note Keimani's grandma is not charged with any crimes. A spokesperson for TPS did tell WTOL 11 the district did not have any record of complaints filed with Toledo Police or Children's Services. Keimani's grandmother and legal guardian, Dorothy Latigue, did admit in an exclusive interview with WTOL 11 that Children's Services had been at her home twice. She said she was not charged and Keimani continued to live with her.
She was not abused. Yes, she was chastised whenever she was wrong or did things wrong. Other than that, she was not abused. She was not just whooped for no reason or just because I felt like it. I've went through this twice because the school system had contacted CSP or CSB on her behalf when she went to Bennett Academy. And they came in, they did a case study and closed it. They've stated there's a way to chastise children without physically harming them. You need to whoop them on their behind, nowhere else. So, okay, with that in mind, I knew that.
A spokesperson for Lucas County Children's Services tells WTOL 11 any records the organization has are protected under Ohio privacy laws per the Lucas County prosecutor and cannot be released as public record. Coming up this Friday, in honor of what would have been Keimani's birthday, the Toledo Buffalo Soldiers are stepping up to support the students at Spring Elementary. The club will provide lunch for all students from the Off the Rails food trolley. Plus, Costco in Toledo has donated cake for the students and teachers.
They already feel failed by Toledo Police and they feel failed by CSB. But they don't want to stay at home, and they should not have to go back into a dangerous situation.
As the community still processes this tragedy, people are demanding answers from elected leaders about what's going to be done to prevent another child from being in this situation. Andre Norrell spent time listening alongside a member of Toledo City Council. Andre, what was the message that you heard tonight?
Well, it's clear people want action. Councilwoman Brittany Jones held the listening session here in the Vistula neighborhood. The whole time, people talked about what happened to Keimani and what can be done now to make sure it doesn't happen again.
That whole situation, it was tragic. It tore me down also, just like it did the whole city.
It's the feeling throughout this room. Erica Bonds and Shireen Strozer have been following Keimani's case since she first went missing.
I started my morning out by buying batteries for a flashlight. Before lunch at work, and when I got off, I had to go buy balloons and to memorialize her.
With reports of abuse prior to Keimani's death circulating, people want to know how it ended like this. Now, people here want the community to come together to look out for children.
A lot of them do not want to go to the police department, and a lot of them do not want to go to CSB.
Strozer says she wants vetted people to sign up and have their home labeled as a safe house, hoping it'll give kids a place to go.
People who are willing to take in minors, runaways, endangered youth that don't have anywhere else to go.
People also had ideas to label more businesses the same way. They suggested getting rid of more abandoned homes in Toledo and for the city to fund Ring doorbell cameras for anyone who wants one. Councilwoman Jones says she's taking all the ideas into consideration.
People are hurting right now, and we can use that and turn that into a positive. And with that will come from these ideas.
She says it's not only the community who needs to step up.
The political officials are going to have to step up. The local organizations, nonprofit and private, the businesses are also going to have to step up, because at this point, we should have been doing this a long, long time ago.
We just can't wait to make this happen and make it better for these kids out here.
Now, there was also talk of opening an investigation into Lucas County Children's Services. Right now, we do know the organization plans to release any information it can this Friday. Our team will be there and bring you the latest. Reporting in North Toledo, Andre Norris, WTWL 11.
Many
sad note, very tragic about what happened with Keimani Latigue. This is very tragic. In today's Blade, just a few minutes ago, they reported that her teacher reported at least twice to authorities that she had a child who had evidence of physical abuse. And I guess the question for me is, this is not the first time this has happened. A teacher reports physical abuse of a young person, and what happens? Nothing happens. So I eagerly await the Blade and media to find out what the heck is going on. When people make these reports, teachers are very, very good sources of information. When people make these reports, we need answers. And I'd like to know what happened, because now we have a real tragedy. She's gone, and this is a very sad time. So I look forward to media reports in terms of what's going on, because when people report this, we deserve action. We can't have our young people being murdered and abused, whether it's mental or physical abuse. It has to stop. And we depend on these agencies to do their job. And I guess my question is, did they do their job? It doesn't sound like that, but I have an open mind. I want the truth. We all need to have that information ASAP.
I've been an educator for 25 years, and it takes a lot for a teacher. As a mandated reporter, it takes a lot to call, because that call is hard to do, because sometimes it may result into a family disruption, but sometimes family disruption needs to happen. I'm not sure. I don't have any background on what went on with Miss Keimani. But as a mother, I cannot stomach what has happened to a baby. As a human being, and a lot of times people change the tone of what a child is. This was a baby. This was a child. This was one that could not advocate for herself. I want to just say thank you to the City of Columbus and to Toledo Police Department. A lot of times we beat down the police, but we need the police. And in this case, we needed the police. I'm grateful for the community that has been outspoken in defense of this baby. But we as a community have to rethink how we do things, and us as a council need to rethink how we've been handling our demo projects. I do commend our demo projects because they have been doing their job. I tell you that. In one swoop, they knocked down 3 houses in my district that has been vacant for over 13 years. So I'm glad that we got that influx of money. But we have we have tools that we can use to get this work done, and I urge us as a body to get this work done. The House did not do this crime. I want to be clear, and I want to make sure everybody knows the House didn't do this crime. This was evilness that did this crime against this baby. The House was a tool that this person used to hide the evilness that they did to this baby. And one thing that this body can do is we can work on that. And I believe we can do it because we have done a lot. And this body, we do a lot for the community. And I just know that our work is not done, and our servant hearts can get this done. So I thank you to be a part of a good body that has the hearts and soul to care for the community. And again, I thank TPD and the Columbus Police Department, SWAT, for working here and doing this. And if you haven't done it, call and check on our officers, because I did. That's something horrific that they had to see and had to find, and then have to go home and look into their kids' faces. So I urge us to do that. Thank you.
First, my heart goes out to Keimani's loved ones and the community as they grieve this horrific loss. This is a hard one. It's really hard when you lose children. We are here to listen and help honor her memory as the community wants it. I think that's important as we go through this process.
I am also grieving Keimani today. This was a hard news to hear, and I think as we continue to hear more, I think everyone has already said it. I think a lot of systems failed that poor girl. I think we are included in that. I think the community failed her, and I know several of us have already had conversations around demolitions and what else can be done, but I think we have to work really hard to prevent that from happening again, because that is just such a shocking and tragic loss. It's hard when it feels like it could have been preventable several steps in her life, I'm sure. So my heart goes out to the people that loved her and cared for her.
They are showing love for Keimani from donations to gifts and acts of kindness. One Monclova Township woman is offering something even more, a cemetery plot for the family to lay her to rest free of charge. Janet Moffett says she lost her daughter in the military and understands the pain of making funeral arrangements. She doesn't want costs to be a burden for Keimani's family. The family has not yet fully paid for funeral services. Those wanting to help can donate through the Brown Legacy Memorial Funeral Home. Details to do so are on our website. This is a story we'll continue to follow closely in the coming days. As we learn more information, we'll keep you updated both on air and online at WTOL.com. Plus, you can download the WTOL 11 Plus for free app and watch our exclusive extended content on Keimani. It's free to download on your TV.
So yeah, guys, this case is crazy, and there's just some things that I'm just still not quite grasp or understand. Like, what was the reason why Keimani was moved from her prior foster care, which was her grandmother's friend, her mom's godmother? Why was she moved from her care? She had been with her since she was like 9 months old. So what was the reason why she was moved from her care? And grandma was just suspicious to me. I've heard some things about grandma, but I haven't really looked into them to present them to you. Once I look into them and get a understanding of exactly what's going on with grandma, I will definitely share that information with you guys. But yeah, grandma just is suspicious to me. There's just something not right there with grandma. Like, I don't understand also what is the why was Keimani staying at the home by herself overnight while you were working? Like, I know she was 13, but I don't know if that's something I could still do, with a 13-year-old. Maybe a couple hours, but all night for a whole, 8-hour or 10-hour shift, whatever she worked. Yeah, she says she was a latchkey kid, but still, with her being a latchkey kid, there's still only amount of time that they can be left at home alone. And it seems like in one of the prior interviews, when Keimani first went missing, grandma told the interviewer that, Keimani was a latchkey kid. Okay. Maybe things have changed, or, the rules have changed around that, but I still don't think that I would have left a 13-year-old home alone overnight like that. I don't know, guys. This is just happening, like I said, way too much. Keimani's birthday is tomorrow. Please, let's get the word out. Share, and let's get the word out for her birthday. This was a senseless death. And this case reminds me a lot of the Nazaria Harris case that I shared on my channel a few months ago. There seemed like to been, some generational curses here, because grandma also lost her Keimani's mom and aunt due to the foster care system. So I'm really confused on how she even got custody of Keimani anyway. Same thing in the Nazaria Harris case. Grandma had lost custody of her children, and I'm still confused on how she got custody of Nazaria. Like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. And from what I understand, grandma knew she was in that house. Grandma, from what I understand, grandma knows more than what she's portraying. But like I said, I haven't actually looked into that information, but once I find out, I will get that information to you guys. But yeah, something's just not right about this case. You could tell there was no stability. Keimani didn't have stability when you're changing. You're 13 years old, and look how many schools that she had to change. 6 schools total. That's ridiculous. That shows no stability. No, there's no stability. And I don't know. Something's just not right. What do you guys think? What do you think about this story, Keimani's story? Do you think grandma is suspicious? Drop down in the comments below your thoughts about this story. All right, guys, that is it for me. Thank you for taking the time to let me share this story with you. Again, tomorrow's Keimani's birthday. Let's go ahead and get her story out there. Let's share some awareness.